Shalom, Brother Barak. My name is Brother Daniel. I'm making this video here because I wanted to give you some insightful information that I think will definitely perhaps give you some wisdom and insight and understanding on some certain things that have been taking place, primarily in regards to Straightway Truth Ministries. Some background on me, and by the way, just what you can see on the video here, I'm actually in a 3D representation of the Second Temple of the Ancient Israelites. It's 1-to-1 ratio by the letter to everything that describes. You can see these little scrolls that are floating here that you can click on, and it gives you some insightful information about what you're looking at. And I have this open here for a reason, because I wanted to give you some insight on something here that's going to be very important. But to what I was saying in regards to Straightway, this is going to directly apply primarily in regards to the matter of the Honorable Pastor Rufus and the situation that has been going on for over the last, year and some change with Pastor Rufus and Pastor Dow, primarily the Ecclesiastical Council that took place and lack thereof. I wanted to share some insight because I have been paying attention and following Straightway for about 10 years or so, close to 11 years. And while I never officially joined Straightway Truth directly, I did attend a fellowship at one point in Pennsylvania because it was the nearest one to me at the time. And so I saw some red flags while I was over there, and I decided to take a step back and just go back to what I was doing and listen further and test things further. I came to different conclusions on different teachings of Straightway, and I decided I should just pull back and listen from afar until the Most High reveals to me to take a further step. That never took place, and we are where we are today. What I wanted to get at is in regards to the situation with Pastor Rufus. Again, I've been listening for over 10 years now, and I've always considered Pastor Rufus, Elder Rufus, what he's primarily known as a so dear to my heart, and such a great source of wisdom in my journey in the Torah, that the unrighteousness that he's going through has been affecting me in a way that just brings a righteous anger on me, primarily because I'm a student of the ancient Near Eastern, Mesopotamian cultures and lifestyles. I've been studying the temple for over almost 12 years now, and I've been closely examining and learning things regarding the temple from great resources and great teacher, primarily Joseph Good, Rico Cortez, who are one of the leading figures, I'd say, right now on temple teachings, and how important these things are to us as, and we hold dear to the Israelite culture. This is critical information that I really think you should consider. So to get to the topic at hand and not to be too long-winded, I wanted to take you to this place here. And this is a Second Temple app that you can download on your phone, and you can go through this and have a great time with this. But I wanted to take you to this specific place here. No, not here. It's actually, I'm going to go over there right now. It's on the temple grounds itself over here. So this is where the altar is, where, I backed up too far, right here. This is where the offerings took place, right here. And that's where the Holy of Holies will be down through that door. But that's not what I wanted to take you. I wanted to take you to this place right here. Again, you can download this and look at this for yourself. Right through these doors, right here. Boom. Okay. So this is the purpose of me sharing this video here for you. So what we are looking at here is where the Sanhedrin Council gathered and made decisions on matters of controversy, on capital punishments, and things of that nature. It consisted of the 70 elders, as we see in the Torah, the 70 elders with Moses plus one. So it's 71 men total, with the high priest as the 71st individual. They would all gather here, and the high priest would stand in the center here, and they would go around and have discussions, and he would also stand side by side with the vice president, the Beidin. It'd be the two of them, and there would be someone documenting over there and someone documenting over here. They were usually next in line elders to be judges when perhaps maybe one falls away, or one passes away, or one steps down due to an illness of some sort and is incapable of serving as a judge. These were the next in line individuals here, the documenters. I wanted to bring you this here not because of I'm trying to share some type of new doctrine or anything like that. I'm trying to show you what the Israelites did and how factual this is for Israelite culture and how they operated in terms of judgment, in terms of examining things. Now, I know when people hear the phrase Sanhedrin, automatically they start to think about Pharisees and Sadducees and Satan and Judaism and Zionism and all of these things. I understand that completely. Sorry, let me put my phone in the charger here. I understand that completely, and that's not what I'm trying to give you here. I'm trying to give you a insight of how the Israelites operated. And the way that they operated was with the Sanhedrin Council, whether that was through, the times of the tabernacle, through the times of the first temple, through the times of the second temple. We all agreed that the Sanhedrin became corrupt and the high priest office became corrupt with the Hasmoneans at one point. And yes, they were corrupt, and yes, they did sentence Yeshua to the death penalty unrighteously. Nobody disagrees with that. And that's completely, irrefutable. What I'm trying to say is that the office in and of itself is holy and sanctioned by the Most High. He has that right to sanction that office because he's the one that gave the gift of the priesthood office to Aaron and his sons. And the Bible uses the word forever as a gift. It belongs to them on this earth here. And this is where they gathered and made judgments on matters right here. So why am I showing you this? Why am I bringing up Pastor Rufus? And why am I bringing up Pastor Dow? I've been watching closely this event that took place with Pastor Rufus over the last year intently because it has greatly disturbed me that such a situation can take place so easily and with such low regard to righteousness. Mainly on Pastor Dowell's side. What I mean to say is what Pastor Dowell did, and we already know what he did. He overrode the Ecclesiastical Council. And I really waited to say anything to you on this matter publicly, I guess you can say, because I was really waiting mainly probably for a third witness. I mean, we had Elder Rufus speaking from the rooftops, and we had Elder Brent on his side as well. But now that Elder Becker has come out and verified the statement very clearly and the timeline of events very clearly and basically confirmed that Pastor Dow was behind the disbandment of Georgia and putting Pastor Rufus out of the ministries because he refused to do the gathering at Georgia. That solidified something incredible that I wanted to share with you, which is this room that we're in here, where I was telling you the high priest would stand here. He was called the Nasi, which is in Hebrew the president or the prince or the ruler, right? James in the book of Acts chapter 15, he was the Nasi of the Jerusalem Council. He was the overseer, he was the president of that city. And the Bible instructs us to place the judges in every city that we have, so on and so forth. But James was the Nasi in the book of Acts. The high priest, not even the high priest of Israel, has the authority to override the decision that the Sanhedrin Council come into an agreement with. He does not have the authority to override anything under any circumstances. When the Sanhedrin come to an agreement in Israel on a matter, it is done. It is over with. And the high priest cannot overrule, he cannot nullify he has to go with the judgment that has been placed. That's critical to understand because Pastor Rufus and Elder Becker, and I believe Elder Brent, but I'm not very sure. I don't remember right now at the moment. All have confirmed that Pastor Dow was the one that disbanded Georgia. And he did. We saw the video and it came out of nowhere for everybody. He was the one that disbanded Georgia while litigation was pending in the background. As Elder Becker said in his testimony, there were Zoom meetings that were taking place. And then it became a surprise out of nowhere that, oh, okay, Pastor Rufus left, so I guess that it's all said and done. And the judgment matter was closed. What took place right there signifies the Nasi overruling the council, overruling the judgment that was supposed to take place by taking the judgment on his own. That's as if the high priest in this room standing here while a murder charge is being deliberated steps outside and goes and kills someone or the person that's being litigated, the murderer, kills them, comes back in and says, don't worry, I killed him, I took care of it, we're all good, it's all said and done. And then everybody just walks off and has a nice day. That's illegal. That's not allowed in the Torah. That breaks the commandments. That breaks the Torah. And that's wickedness at a level that is borderline sacrilege. Because the Most High gave us an order on how we are supposed to do things. And Jesus even clarified it even further in Matthew 15. And what I wanted to get at is, let's say, and give the benefit of the doubt, right, that Elder Rufus is guilty. Let's confirm and agree altogether unanimously. Elder Rufus is guilty. I don't know what he's guilty of. Nobody knows. But let's just say he is. Okay? Pastor Dowd still does not have the authority to disband and send Pastor Rufus out of the ministry. Because why? At that point, the matter was brought to Pastor Dowd privately, brought with 2 or 3, brought to the elders, and then it's supposed to go to the assembly publicly. When did that take place? It has never taken place at any point whatsoever at all. Pastor Dowd revoked Pastor Rufus's biblical right to have a council with the elders and leaders and with the brethren and with his accuser, which is Pastor Dowd, apparently, publicly. And it did not take place at any point whatsoever at all. It was a unilateral decision by the Nasi of Straightway, Tennessee, to make this judgment on another elder, therefore desecrating the Ecclesiastical Council and the order of operations of judgment. This is significant. Why as well? There's an even deeper underlying sin that I needed to address to you that I don't think people have really fully grasped and understand yet. When Pastor Dowd made the unilateral decision to put Elder Rufus out of the ministry on his own, destroy his life at the time, and doesn't care about his family, I mean, unheard of things. When he did that, he bypassed the Ecclesiastical Council. And by doing so, okay, he casted judgment on an Israelite. The only person that has the authority to exile unilaterally an Israelite is the Most High on Judgment Day when it's time to know if you're saved or not. That is the seat of the Most High. I know brothers, and I know Elder Becker mentioned it, and Elder Rufus and other people mentioned the seat of Moses, and Elder Jim talked about the seat of Moses. I personally disagree with that statement. He says that he's the seat of Moses, but that's not how he's operating. He's operating in the seat of the Most High. His actions are reflecting an individual who sees themselves as the king of Israel, who sees themselves as a judge over the people. And Pastor Dow confessed it himself in the Georgia meeting when he says, I don't need these elders. I do them a favor by putting myself in submission to them. Those were Pastor Dow's words. When somebody uses those types of words, what they're doing is stomping all over this building here, standing on it, and declaring it theirs. That is an individual that is sitting on the seat of the Most High to judge. That is an individual that is rebuking the ecclesiastical council that Jesus even outlined. And he's putting himself in the seat of the Most High, not the seat of Moses. He likes to say that he's in the seat of Moses. He likes to say that the Most High appointed him. At one time you had Moses, now you got Pastor Dow. He says that because he's afraid to say what he really feels inside of his heart, which is he is in the seat of the throne of the Most High, and he believes that with his heart, and his actions and his words reflect that. Pastor Dow. Because by unilaterally throwing away the process that Pastor Rufus and any Israelite has the authority, it's not authority, has the right to go through. We all have the right to have a fair trial in Israel. And he took that away. And by doing so, and he said it himself. He said it himself at the Georgia meeting. I do them a favor. I don't need them. What is that? That's not a person that sees themselves as a judge. That's a person that sees themselves as the Most High. That's a person that sees himself as the king of the people with unilateral power. Only the king in Israel has the authority to give lands, to take away lands, to exile, to return and restore, to pardon. That's the king of Israel who has that sole authority, not the priest. But Pastor Dow is apparently the one that has that authority here. It's sickening what is taking place, and I've been holding off on these things because I needed to see and verify a third witness, whether it would have been Elder Mitchell, Elder Becker, someone else that seen these things take place in their meetings. Elder Becker came out and made it clear as day what took place. It aligns directly with what Elder Rufus has said. If somebody says that they don't need the elders, if somebody says that they don't need, that they're doing a favor putting themselves in submission, what type of favor is that? Where are you coming down from where you can put yourself on the feet of these elders? Where are you coming from? You're coming from the seat of the Most High, because there's no other seat above this ecclesiastical council right here except for God. Because he's the righteous judge at the end who decides who goes to the kingdom and not. And how many times have you heard, how many times have we heard Pastor Dow say, this is the last stop before the pit? What kind of words are those? This is the last stop before the pit? How do you know? That's somebody that's declaring judgment on your salvation on a feast day right there. And people are clapping and cheering. This is the last stop before the pit. Straightway? Really? How dare somebody say something like that? It disgusts me what's taking place at Straightway. It's a look, I'll put it this way. Whether you're Jewish, whether you're Messianic, whether you are a Zionist, whether you are an Israelite, whether you are a black Hebrew Israelite, whether you are a Reformed Israelite, whether you are a pronomial Christian, whether you are a Christian, Pastor Dow desecrated and disobeyed every single ecclesiastical structure from all of those denominations that I just listed. Every single one of them he broke. He broke every single one of them. He didn't follow the Christian ecclesiastical council. He didn't follow the Israelite council. He didn't follow the Jewish council. He didn't follow anything. He did a unilateral decision and put an elder out of the ministry. And Elder Becker confirmed that, and Pastor Rufus confirmed that too. Because Elder Becker was the one that said that they were deliberating behind the scenes. And then Pastor Dow all of a sudden decided to disband Georgia. That's not a normal thing that took place right there. And that needs to be spoken of further and examined further on a spiritual level, what that meant. I study these things here, and I'm very almost obsessive with learning information about the temple and the structures and everything that took place with the councils of the Israelites and the Levites and how they operated and the sacrifices and all of these things. Let me take you here, because this means a lot to me. We're stepping into the holy place. When Pastor Dow said that he's putting Pastor Rufus out of the ministry, he bypassed the Ecclesiastical Council. He overrode the Ecclesiastical Council. And we don't even need to get into the fact that he, forced the judgment, or the fact that he held a false trial without Pastor Rufus in the room. We don't need to get into that. That's even more damning. That's cherry on top of the whipped cream right there. What Pastor Dow did was basically go into the Holy of Holies, which is right here. You can notice that the Ark of the Covenant is in here because the second temple didn't have the Ark of the Covenant in there. So they just try to keep it, biblically accurate. But this is where the Holy of Holies is, and this is where the Ark of the Covenant would be, which represents the throne of the Most High. Pastor Dow sat in this room and made a judgment and put Pastor Rufus outside of the ministry. That's what he did. That's what he did. And it makes me sick, man. It makes me upset. It makes me disturbed on multiple levels, because I can't even imagine the damage that he's caused Pastor Rufus and the things that he's probably gone through. I can't imagine having to uproot your life all of a sudden after everything you've done for a people. And now all of a sudden it's all taken away because one man says so. And all the elders and all the rulers and leaders simply let it happen and don't do anything about it. It's great to see people vote with their feet. But if there was some type of wisdom that was already implemented into the people at that point, none of this would have taken place. And I'm speaking directly to the Ecclesiastical Council and the elders. And the one that makes me the most upset is Daniel Muir, because Elder Becker and Pastor Rufus both confirmed that Daniel Muir stood up and said, Pastor Dow isn't here, so I'm not going to listen to y'all talk about him any further. And he left the room, right? In Wisconsin. That's what he said. Both of them said that, and they both confirmed it. And Elder Brent said the same thing. So that's 3 witnesses right there. Why didn't Daniel Muir get up and leave when he got summoned to the summit in Georgia with the Georgia Saints at the hub? Because Elder Rufus wasn't there. Elder Rufus was not there. Yet Daniel Muir sat there like a dog for 2 to 3 hours and let all of that take place and didn't stand up and leave. That's called partiality right there. That should disqualify him from being a judge in a case. Now he's going to say, I already know what they're going to say. He was out of the ministry at that point, so it makes no difference. Really? If he's out of the ministry at that point, then how are you going to have this entire ecclesiastical council on an individual that you considered a brother, a pastor, an elder for over 13 years, or however long he stayed there, and you don't give him the decency to be present as you all speak about him for 2 to 3 hours? He doesn't even get the decency to face his accuser when he's being spoken about publicly in an open format matter with all the elders and rulers and judges in Israel. And not one of them dared to question and ask, where the hell is Pastor Rufus in this matter? He needs to be here. Not one of them brought that up. I'm thankful for people leaving with their feet, but the lack of wisdom and understanding of the ecclesiastical process, primarily the Sanhedrin structure and how things were done, I'm sorry, but all of that could have been avoided if there was some type of knowledge that was there. And I know that the book of Acts chapter 15 shows the people coming up, and a full agreement with the Holy Spirit showed that They came into one accord, and then they made a ruling on a matter. That's information that was already known to the Israelites at that point on how rulings were done. That's why James was the Nasi, the president of the Jerusalem Council for the people who follow Jesus. Because he was the leader, he was the one that was there, he was the one that appointed the elders, he was the one that had the brothers decide on what to do with the Gentiles together with all of them. So it's not that there's a new type of judgment, a new type of council. It's not that at all. It's that the people didn't know. The people of Straightway didn't understand the proper ecclesiastical structure that needed to take place. And it did not take place. It did not take place with Pastor Rufus, because one man decided to sit on the throne of the Most High, bypass the ecclesiastical structure, regardless if you agree with Straightway's ecclesiastical council or not. It doesn't matter who you agree with. How about this? Forget everything I just said, and let's just say that Straightway has the true ecclesiastical council structure. Pastor Dowell disobeyed it and overrode it by his own standards. He overrode it by putting Pastor Rufus out, because Pastor Rufus refused to have him on his land and said, he said that he wants to have them in a different place. He doesn't want them on the land. That doesn't justify by any circumstance an individual to be put out, to have a pending litigation that was taking place in the background overruled and tossed out. It doesn't. Pastor Rufus, till this day, has the right to fulfill the ecclesiastical council and fulfill the final step, to be taken before the people in front of Pastor Dow and all the wicked leaders that judged against him. All of them were wicked, all of them. And face them, and then begin the ecclesiastical process. And then a righteous judgment can be made. That didn't take place. He sat in the seat of the Most High. He confessed it in front of everybody and said that I do them a favor by coming down and submitting myself to them. Go back and listen to it. I do them a favor. I don't need them. I don't need their judgment. I don't need their opinions. Then that's the end of the matter. When he said that, he declared himself the Most High. Because an individual that doesn't need the ecclesiastical council is an individual that's judging your soul. And the signs are all there. I don't need them. I don't need these elders. I don't need their opinions. This is the last stop before the pit. Show me another place where Straightway is, because this is going to be the last stop before the lake of fire. These are the signs of an individual placing himself on the seat of the Most High. But he's too punk to say that, because he knows that's taking it too far. Instead, what he says is, you had Moses at one point, now you got Pastor Dow. That's as far as he's willing to go. That's as far as he's willing to go for now. Do not be surprised when he starts calling himself the King of Israel. Do not be surprised. That's my last warning to the people of Straightway. Because all the evidence is there. Everything is public. And a fundamental lack of understanding of the ecclesiastical council is what has put you into this point. So that's all I wanted to share with you, brother. I don't know if you'll, play this. This is for you. If you want to put this on your next podcast episode, go ahead. Do whatever you want with this. Research it. Look into it further. Let me know if you have questions. You can email me. I'll send you my email. Let me know what you think. And shalom.